right, man, let's talk about those who said the Detroit Lions, should move on from Jared Goff. Let's talk about it. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance, get notifications. We go live or drop video. I mean, some of the free agent alternative options, they don't get tagged. Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins, Tyrod Taylor, Gardner Minshew, Marcus Mariota, Sam Darnold, Tyler Huntley, which I'm going to talk about him as well. And also the uphill battle is this Ben Johnson more than likely going to be gone. Now, is there any possible trade candidates? Maybe the Seahawks ready to move on from Geno Smith. Maybe the Commanders get a quarterback. And I really kind of didn't see what they seen about Sam Howell in North Carolina, but I think he can ball. I like Sam Howell a lot. Jacoby Brissett is a guy. He's better, more of a backup. Just trying to look. Kenny Pickett might be available. Wouldn't deal with that. Malik Willis might be available. I think you got Hendon Hooker. So, I mean, unless you want them to compete against each other. So, those kind of your alternative options. Now, Goff got one more year for $24 million. So, you don't have to sign him. But is Goff going to sit out and wait for a contract is the question. You know, will he play out the last year without sitting out? I mean, and it's a known fact. If Goff hit the market, somebody going to want him. Now, they could trade Goff. You know, they can trade him. I mean, you look around the NFL and say, who would want Jared Goff? Just going through the divisions. New Orleans. I know they just played Derek Carr, but New Orleans, Tampa, Baker Mayfield also available, by the way. I like what he's been doing this year down there. Kind of somewhat of a revival. Atlanta. I think Justin Fields gonna get dealt to Atlanta, honestly. But Atlanta, the Giants, well, they just paid Dan Jones, so I don't see that happening. With Stafford Walker, I don't think he's going back to the Rams. So you go up to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh might be an ideal situation. I don't know about the small hands that Kenny Pickett got. You put Jared Goff outside and small hands, that may not be an ideal fit. But other than that, possibly the Patriots. That might be, something there. If Aaron Rodgers chooses to walk away, which he got cleared to practice Wednesday, so 11 months after Achilles, I think everybody talking about that seemed like a red flag. Maybe you use that deer antler spray that Ray Lewis used, and possibly the Las Vegas Raiders. So there's some options out there you can deal them for. But then what's next? I mean, option one is you can take one of the quarterbacks that can compete with Hendon Hooker and Teddy Bridgewater next year. That's your option. If it's Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins, but you're going to pay him anyway, and he's coming off with an ACL or Achilles injury, I think it's an Achilles, and you're going to have to pay him. So, option two is to trade Goff. Any other quarterbacks that's known commodities, not sure, that could be available. You trade Goff for assets and you try to get a quarterback. Now, you don't know who's coming out. Shador not coming out, which I think is a mistake. Shador not coming out. Quinn Ewers not coming out. He coming back. So, a draft class that looks super, super good. I mean, you got the kid from, was it Duke or North Carolina? Forget which one he play at. I think he might play at the really good quarterback. I think it's North Carolina. Dave Mays or something like that. See what happened with J.J. McCarthy. But the dude from North Carolina, Caleb Williams. Let's say Chicago with the number one pick, with Carolina pick. I mean, what would it take for them to move up to that number one spot to get Caleb Williams? And then I didn't know he was like he might be barely 6 feet. So, I mean, would you want to move up, get Caleb Williams, mortgage some of the future, and then use your cap space to fill the roster out? I mean, it may look like a first this year, a first next year, a second this year, a second next year, a third this year. It may look like some wild stuff to get that because they got to tax you because you're a divisional opponent. So, people talking about let's move up from Marvin Harrison Jr. Chicago may very well be in the shotgun, may very well be in the driver's seat to get him as well because they pretty bad too. But I'm not moving up for no receiver like that. That's just my opinion. Okay, but that'll be for draft talk later. But nonetheless, I kind of really like that Tyler Huntley kid. Now, in limited action in the Baltimore system, he's done really well. I think he was out of Utah. He's done really well. Could throw it, athletic. Not sure he can go ahead and take the reins and be a starter, but then you still can bring Bridgewater back. You can bring Hendon Hooker back. But if Hendon Hooker was never coming off the ACL injury, we probably never would have got him. So it's hard to evaluate, what you got in Hendon Hooker. It's hard to evaluate. So you wouldn't really know what you really got until you went to training camp. You know what I'm saying? Like, until you got the preseason. And the only thing about people say, well, Goff got one more year, so you can really evaluate how Hendon Hooker do next offseason. But 9 times out of 10, he going to hold out because he going to want his bread. You know what I'm saying? He going to want his money. So 9 times out of 10, he going to want his bread. So that's kind of what you got to kind of think about right now, man. So really the alternative options is if you can trade for a quarterback. I mean, who knows? Dak Prescott, he got a lot of money on. He might be available next year. I think Dak Prescott and going for Kirk Cousins is pretty much a lateral move for the Lions, especially without Ben Johnson, as the OC. So I think that might kind of be a lateral move in my opinion, or at least a parallel move at the best. So, Nick, I honestly don't know what you do. I think Goff will be here next year, but I mean, can you find an upgrade? Can you find something that's similar or somebody that can compete with Hendon Hooker? You can't just get the keys to Hendon Hooker. Not without seeing him in a preseason game, training camp, a real game. I just don't think you can do that. I think next year you have a better gauge on it. And I think especially coming off the ACL injury. So I don't really see him being a major player until next season sometime. To be honest, I mean, could they get their resources together and, liquidate a couple guys or whatever, and because all them defensive ends going next year. You talking about Harris, Okora, Julian and Romeo. Them motherfuckers, they gone. So that's the question about it. You want. Where Jaden Daniels going to be at in the draft, where he going to fall at. I know they got a little problem with his elongated release. Could you get your hands on somebody like that and they compete with Hendon Hooker? If you say, well, what's the best form moving on from Jared Goff? Go get a first-round quarterback. Somebody to drop to you. Depending where you at. If it's Jaden Daniels, if it's the kid from Duke or North Carolina, Mays, whatever his name is, if you want to move up for Caleb Williams, that's the best option that you do. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the best option that you can do at this point. You get a new OC anyway, pairing with a new OC, compete with Hendon Hooker, see what happens. But that's the best option, because if you're gonna go out and get a Dak Prescott, if they get rid of him because of the money he owed and they can't come to a new contract resolution, you go get Kirk Cousins coming off of ACL. To me, that's a lateral move. You know what I'm saying? You get a Tyler Huntley, that's rolling the dice. You get a Baker Mayfield, that's a big lateral move. So yeah, I think the best thing if you're going to want to upgrade at the position, the best move if you want to move on from Jared Goff is to trade him, get assets, and move up for a quarterback you want to draft. I think it's a no-go where you got blind faith in Hendon Hooker coming off an ACL injury, not taking too many live reps. I think next year, maybe you get Goff a 1-year extension, a 2-year extension, and you see what you got in Hendon Hooker. I think that's what's gonna happen. He probably get a 2-year extension with a potential out between the third year, so 3 years with a potential out after 2. And I think they see what they got from Hendon Hooker, and I think probably by the time they get the end of year 2, they should know what they got in Hendon Hooker. So yeah, I don't really see them moving on from Goff, but if they do, the best option is to liquidate whatever assets you got. Take the draft picks, turn it into, a draft, turn and go get a quarterback in the draft. That way, you move Goff contract, you get some cap relief, you move a couple other contracts some people might want, you get more cap relief. So the whole thing about that would be you would have to hit in the middle rounds on them draft picks, and that's free agent money. You're gonna have to really go find, you know, free agents to fill out the rest of your roster. So, yeah, I just think that how people say we should move on from Goff, it's just not possible. You know, what you gonna bring back? Matthew Stafford? You want to bring back Stafford? You know, you want to bring back Geno? You want to get Geno Smith? Then move on from him. So, like I said before, I think the best move for them is to let, you know, Hendon Hooker get healthy, bring back Goff on a 2 or 3 year deal with a potential out, and let them duke it out. Or you can figure it out, you know, by then. And while you figuring out, while you give them a contract extension, maybe you start collecting assets in the draft now. Maybe you start moving out the first round right now and getting future first round picks and getting future mid round picks. So if you really want to, you know, ante up, you know, all your assets, you know, year 2 of his contract, you can go get a quarterback if all fails. But Hendon Hooker, it's not a reality for him to start next year unless it's a major injury. So check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance, get notifications. We go live or drop video financially. Want to support the channel? Cash App, $CJ Good 313. Venmo CJ Good 313. PayPal link in the description. Hit the link tree. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, aka Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Appreciate the love, support. Peace.